Excellent. So, well, hello everyone who is watching. This is Mr. Incongruous, and this is my first live streaming session. Some of you might know me for the document I uploaded a few days back to Reddit, where it was a Python fundamentals course from 0 to 1, I called it. So the idea of these streams is for me to show you how to start solving simple exercises in Python by using what we have learned on the 0 to 1 course, which is a document you will find on the description below once the video ends. So without any further ado, let's go and start looking for some beginner level videos, beginner level exercises. So here we will just type Python exercises for beginners and see what we come up with. Okay, Python exercises, practice and solutions. Okay, what is Python? Python basic exercises, 150 exercises. Camera is too big, it's blocking a huge portion of the screen. Yeah, that's actually on purpose, because my reasoning, at least, is that for people to be able to see my face and see my mouth moving and everything. So that's why it takes such a large portion of the screen. Okay, so I think since this is the first exercise, my first streaming session, I'll just go with some 3 or 4 exercises, and I will explain my reasoning when solving them, and as future videos go by, maybe I will stream for a longer period of time. So, first one. Write a Python program to print the following string in a specific format. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are, up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Okay, how poetic of them. So, we go to our faithful Python folder. Exercises.py, edit with idle 3.9. Okay, so I'm gonna have to ask again, can you see the window, the Python exercises window clearly? Is the font large enough? Waiting for a reply. Oh well. I'll just assume it is adequate, so let's continue. So what we have here, so as you can see, it's not just a matter of printing the strings we have here, but well, it doesn't say it has to be on just one go or one print statement, so we can do many, but it does have to follow this indentation we can see here. So the way I see it, there are two possible solutions for this. The first one, let's just copy and paste this. Okay, so we will be lazy and just go there, there, there. Just Control plus V in order to paste the print statement for all these lines. Then I close all the they have a hidden over here indentation, which we can see here. So if we just do this, feels a bit like cheating, but let's see how it goes. We get something similar to what they asked. We have that space. That's because we have this huge amount of blank spaces. So if we delete them and we execute, we get something quite similar to what they asked. Okay, so that's the simple way of solving this exercise. It was just doing copying and pasting into our .py file and then making the print statement. But what I think they actually want us to do is to use a special function called tab. I think it's for tabulation, which is what it does is it moves the next characters. I'm not sure if 4 or 8 spaces. So it helps for when you want to make a table, for example, a multiplication table or something. You can just use tab and it'll all be in its proper place. So what we will try to do now is to use this tab special character in order to solve the exercise. So we won't be changing this too much. We will just be deleting the spaces. Okay, so if we save with Control plus S, we press F5 to run the program. We have this little poem, and now we have to add the indentation or tabulation. So here we have 1, it seems. So for tab, what we use is the backslash, which, in case you're not familiar with, is we press the Alt key plus 9 and 2, and there we have the backslash, which is a special character, which means that when you include it in a string, it will not just print it, but it will have some special effect. If we follow the backslash with a T, we save, we go to run module. As you can see, it makes this line, instead of printing it normally like the others, it jumps, I think it's 8 empty spaces or 1 tab. So now that we know about this, we can see for the next 2 lines, they seem to be 2 tabs. So we go Alt 9-2 for the backslash and the T for 1 tabulation, Alt 9-2 plus T for another tabulation. Next one, like a diamond in the sky, we go Alt Alt92 T and another happy little tab. Okay, finally we have the first one, which is normal. We have the second one with one tab, the third and fourth with two tabs. The fifth is normal, and the sixth seems to have one tab, so we add it here. Alt92 a T, and we go. And so we check. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Tab, how I wonder what you are. Two tabs up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder what you are. Yep, it seems to be in order, so we can... Oh, click me to see the sample solution. Let's see how it goes. There's... Wow, they really put effort in their reply in their solution. Nice. Just in case you can see here the. I think I'll leave it on the chat box. In case you want to give these exercises a try. This might be useful. As you can see, there are plenty of exercises. This one is, I think, 150, so there won't be any problem of running out of practice anytime soon. Okay, the print function doesn't support the soft space of the... whenever you see these, as you can see here, they reference Python 2.6. Python is a very old language. I think it's 30 years old or something like that, which for IT, for technology purposes, is like the Jurassic period or ancient history. And during its lifetime, different versions have come up. For a few years, there were two versions, Python 2 and Python 3, which were developed in parallel. But nowadays, as far as I know, all Python development is made on Python 3. So if you see courses with bad syntax, they're probably or syntax that seems weird, they might be courses made for Python 2. It's as time goes by, it's more and more unlikely for that to happen, but just so you know. Okay, so they go here, Python 2.x, then Python 3.0. Pictorial representation, examples, but what we want is, okay, so I was wrong. The idea wasn't to do a print statement for each line, but instead to do only one line. Okay, so we will copy this. Oh, okay. We can, just in case I hadn't realized, you can just go here to the bottom right, click copy, and it will copy itself. Now we will give it a few spaces, we paste it, and here we have twinkle, 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 little star. Once again, we have the backslash, a special character. When the backslash is followed by an N, it means that it will print a new line. So twinkle, twinkle, little star, new line, tab, just like here. How I wonder what you are. New line, tab, tab. Up above. Okay. Up above, the world so high. New line, tab, tab. Like a diamond in the sky. New line, twinkle, twinkle, little star. New line, tab. How I wonder what you are. So we will print just an asterisk so we can have a clear division between the two sections of code. And actually we will just add a couple blank lines to make sure we can know which one is which. And as you can see, the result is the same. So we were right in our... Oh, I was missing an exclamation point at the end. This is actually very important. Usually in programming there isn't a single solution to each problem. Okay, even with a very basic problem like this one, which wasn't really complicated at all and just needed a few print statements and new lines and tabs, like 2 or 3 things at the same time. Even then, we had 2 solutions that, as far as I can see, were right, which were, well, mine. So we had actually 3 possible solutions. One was to write just the spaces. The other was to use the many print statements plus the tabs. And their solution, which was to go in a single print statement using the special characters for new line and for tab. And now that I think about it, there might be a 4th possible solution, which would be to use just one print statement, use the new line, and then manually print the spaces, something a bit like that. But you see my point. You don't need, as long as your output is correct, it's usually irrelevant whether what your solution is exactly the same as the one on the screen. There may be some differences. Sometimes they will ask you if you want to, they will tell you that you have to use a certain operations, or that you can't use certain other operations, just to force you to think outside the box a little bit. But usually what matters is that you get the result you need. The way you get to that result is not relevant most of the time, at least at our level. Okay, so with that out of the way, we will delete this and go to the next exercise. We close this tab. Second, write a Python program to get the Python version you are using. Okay, I actually don't remember how to do this, so we will go to our good friend Google and see what we can find. Python, how to check current version, I guess. Another tip, Google is always your friend. There isn't any shame, or you're not doing anything wrong if you need to Google things a lot. When I was researching for this course, I asked a few very senior developers, people with 10, 15, 20 years of programming behind them, and asked them how often they used Google. And most of them said they used Google on a daily basis, because programming is such a huge field and you absorb such a large amount of information that it becomes impossible to fit it all inside your head. So what you do is you learn the logic, you learn how to fit the different pieces together, and once in a while you will forget something and you just go to Google, take what you need, and keep going. Okay? Now let's see. To check your Python version, run Python version in your command line, which is not what we need because we're not going to use our command line. To check your Python version in your script, run import sys to get the module and use sys.version. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. Import sys, and then sys.version. We save, we run, nothing happens because we're just telling it sys.version. But what we need to do is to actually print it on the screen, because otherwise we won't know what is going on. Aha! So we're running Python version 3.9.2, which is correct. February 19, 2021, so on and so forth. So that's pretty much it. We can close this. Let's check their actually you can see they say click me to see the sample solution. So it's not like there's one canonical answer to all of these exercises. Okay, write a Python. A tuple containing. Tuple is a special type of variables. They're very similar to lists, but you can't modify them. They have their uses, but I usually use lists because they're simpler to use and you don't get into trouble for trying to change them. Import sys, yeah. Print Python version and just an extremely detailed version of what we did. Sys is one of the many libraries that come included with Python that we can import in order to use, just like random, which is the library we use on the Python 0.2.1. And yeah, it's something that it's worth if you have some free time to take a look at the many different libraries available and see if there's something that catches your eye. Let's keep going. 3. Write a Python program to display the current date and time. Yeah, this is one of the many things where I am going to need the help of our friend Google. Python print current date and time. This is looking like a how to Google leave stream rather than exercises. Sorry about that. So how to get current date and time in Python. Program is, let's see what we get here. Python get today's date. And we don't want today. We want current date, and this is getting a bit complex. So we have different ways of formatting what the results we get. Which is a bit more complex than what I would normally use. Let's give them a try and see what we get. Just copy the code. We delete, we paste, and okay. 17th March 2021, March 17, 2021, 3/17/21, March 17, 2021. Okay, so let's see what these different strings mean. Yeah. What this is doing is telling them where the day goes, where the month goes, and where the year goes by using special formatting strings, which I'm not exactly sure how they work because they're part of the string for time. Okay, we could go into detail in case we need a very specific format or we want to do something special. So maybe we want to go crazy and just let's give it a try. Let's try to see if we can make it put the year first, then the month, then the day. Okay, so what we would want is D5 2021 March 17. Let's see if we can make it happen. Okay, we move this one here. We want the month. So M with lowercase is the number. So I'm guessing that, okay, for the second, seems like for some reason it's an uppercase B. 21 March, and the day should remain the same. Let's see if, and we will change this to D5. March 17. There are a few ways of formatting strings, as we saw on the first exercise. As I told you, there's more than one solution. One I am not very familiar with, and which I haven't gone in depth, to be honest, is this one with the percentage signs. Okay, which is similar to the one we saw in the Python course, which is to print, let's say, A equals A, B equals B, and if I want to print A plus B, I would just go print A, comma, string plus B, and print it, and we would get the result we want. But there are more than one way of doing this. There are also what are called the F strings, which we will go into in another Python course video. But for now, let's move on. I think one or two more exercises and we could be calling it a day. So, write a Python program which accepts the radius of a circle from the user, that's important, from the user, and compute the area. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is to check how to get the area of a circle with its radius. Yeah, radius. How to calculate the area of a circle. Okay, 6 centimeters. Identify the radius of the circle. Then, okay, so the area is pi times radius squared. So what we need, whoops, sorry about that, is a way to use pi in Python, which I'm guessing involves the math library, but let's check this. Yet another tab, Python, how to use pi. How to get and use pi constant in Python programming. Python math.py. I really like these fine people, w3schools.com, because their code is usually very simple. The explanations are really concise and they give plenty of examples. So if you want, if you want to check what's going on, you can just copy the code and paste it and give it a whirl. Or if you are in another computer and don't have Python, you can go to try it yourself. And they have an editor, so you can run the example. Let's see. Just run this. And as you can see, you can use this editor in case you want to kill some time and you're not on your computer. This can be a reasonable way of getting that off your system. So, going back, we know that pi is math.py, so now we need to check it must be pi times r squared, so we need to get r, which is the radius, which is entered by the user. So we will say that radius is equal to our input, which means that the user will have to enter a value manually, and we will, just because we want to be meticulous, we will just add a question or a prompt, sorry. Please enter the radius value, space. Okay, as I mentioned in the course, input will always give us a string, which is a series of characters, and series of characters can't be operated as numbers. So what we need to do is to turn the value that the user will enter and turn it into an integer or a float, which means a whole number or a decimal number. In this case, we're working with pi, which is a decimal number, so we will turn it into a float. How we do that? We say radius is equal to float radius, and then just to check, we will print radius, and let's give it a try. Please enter the radius's value. Let's go with 5. As you can see, we get 5.0, and here we have the Python value, the value of pi, sorry. Okay, we have to be very careful when doing this, because let's check what happens if the user enters something else. Let's say, please enter the radius value, Okay, value error, could not convert string to float, the radius value. This means it's quite intuitive. We can't turn characters into numbers. We can turn 5 into a valid number, but we cannot take the phrase, the radius value, and turn it into a valid number. Okay, there are ways to handle this. It's called exception handling, but it's a much more advanced topic. So now we'll just assume that the user will understand what we're trying to do and will not try to mess with our systems too much. So we have that. Now we know that radius is being correctly turned to a decimal number. So now we need to get our answer. Now we need the total area. Remember, always, as you can see, the variables I'm using are in accordance to what we need. So they are clearly named variables, and they are variables that hint at their purpose. In this case, for example, if we wanted, we could just use x, float x, and this turn it to y, print x, and y, oh yeah, we don't have that yet. We do this, we enter the value 5, the answer, the result is exactly the same as in our previous run of the program, but our code now is much harder to guess as what it's supposed to do. And this is just as we in the corner here, we can see that our code is just 11 lines long. Eventually we will create code that is tens, hundreds, even thousands of lines long. And when that happens, you need to have very clear variables, so they serve as a roadmap, so to speak, like, oh, okay, this is what it should more or less be doing. Okay, so we will fix this. Radius. Okay, and we need our total area, which is radius times radius times math.pi, and we will print the total area. Let's see how this goes. Please enter the radius value 578.53, and we might want to confirm this. Area of a circle with a radius of 5. Okay, area equals 78.57. We have 78.53, which I'm guessing is good enough. Let's see, with a radius of 3 is 28.27. Radius value 3, 28.27. Okay, so our answer is reasonably correct. Now let's check how these fine people solved the exercise. Let's close this to reduce the clutter, and click me to see the sample solution. Python, area of a circle, an explanation of the rationale within their answer. So, okay, as we can see, it's similar to what we are doing. Let's paste it here and see what is going on. If both solutions are about the same, we should get the same results. Yeah, don't worry, man. Thank you very much for your help and for letting me know about the camera and for your feedback. I will just finish this exercise and wrap it up, so don't worry. Thank you very, very much for your help. Okay, so if we please enter the radius value 5, please enter the radius of the circle 5, 7. As you can see, the 5398, 1633, 1633, and so on. Okay, so our answers are the same. Let's examine what they did. As you can see, it's very different, their solution to ours. They're going with from math import pi. Okay, and we just imported math and used math.pi. It's a different way of getting the same result. R, or radius, is, and instead of going input and then transforming that into a float, what they did is directly take the input and turn it into a float in the same line. Once again, it depends on your preference. Now, the area of the circle with radius r, in this case they turned it into a string because Python gets confused and throws an error if you try to add in a print statement, if you try to add strings and integers, because they're two different data types. So if you try to add them together, Python goes, what the hell is going on? And just for the future, if you want to do that, you do what they are doing here, which is the area of the circle with radius, and it turns r into a string, which we can see. Idle shell with radius 5.0, which is the float, is, and we take pi, we multiply it by r squared. Remember, two asterisks together means this to the power of this, so r to the power of 2, which means r squared, which is the same as radius times radius. This is multiplied by pi, which is the same we did here, and it throws the result. So once again, different approaches, different subtle differences in the way of presenting the variables and the operations, but the result is the same, which is the important thing here. Okay, so we've done 4 exercises. I think that's enough to wrap it up for tonight. Sorry for my many silences and for my when I have stumbled and so on. This is my first time doing YouTube videos, so I am much more nervous than what you can possibly imagine. But well, you can't get better at anything without giving it a try, which is the reason why I picked this very fine Jake the dog wallpaper. Sucking at something is the first step to becoming sort of good at something. That's what we're doing with Python. We're starting with very small exercises. We will stumble, we will get angry, we will get frustrated, and eventually we will get better. It's the same that I'm doing here. I am sucking at YouTube streaming, I am stumbling, I have bad audio, a lot, but in due time, and with your help, I hope, I will get better and give you the content you deserve. Thank you very, very much for all of you who are watching. Please leave your feedback on the comments, and I'll be seeing you soon next week, probably. Thank you very much, and happy programming.